It's that time of year again where everyone wants to start playing a new game. And by game, I mean the game of business, the game of working out, the game of getting better at something in general. It's that time of year again where everyone wants to start something new, but most people will fail and quit. And today, I want to talk about how I won, how I continue to win, and why most people will never win. It's pretty simple. I assume I'm terrible, right? I can't tell you how many people I see come into these spaces that I'm in for people who want to become YouTubers, right? New tubers, we call them, right? These people come in and they always assume they're the best. It's insane, really. They talk about how their videos are fantastic, but they get no views. They talk about how they just want people to be there for them. Meanwhile, they're the least interesting people you've ever seen in your entire life. I think this is a really interesting phenomenon. It's essentially the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? People think that things are going to be easier than they are, and then they plummet into the pit of despair, and then they have to reach the uninformed optimism stage. They have to reach the informed optimism stage. They start in the uninformed optimism stage. Most people never hit the informed optimism stage. They quit whenever they get to that valley of despair where they realize, oh shit, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. This is way more difficult. There's way more to it. And frankly, I'm not sure I can ever get there. And the real difference between me and those people, hopefully not between me and the person watching this, you, is that I will continue to work. I come in at the valley of despair for the most part. I assume I'm terrible and that I'm going to need to do a fuck ton of work to get to where I want to be. I assume that there's so much I don't know about that I'm going to have to figure out, and it's going to take a ton of trial and error. I'm going to fail continuously, but I won't give up. And I think that's the really important part, right? Is that you don't give up. You keep trying to get better and you don't give up. But it sickens me. It makes me sad to an unimaginable degree that I just know 95% of the people who come into these spaces that I'm in are just going to drop off. It's like if you're someone who goes to the gym regularly, right? You probably know that like 95% of the people who you see come in at the start of the year, they're not going to make it. They'll fall off in a month or two, maybe 3. Maybe someone will get lucky, right? And you'll see them for 6 months and then they fall off, never to be seen again. And that's unfortunate. I don't want that to be you. I sure as hell don't want it to be me or anybody I know. So I thought I would try and lay out, how do you make sure that you don't quit, right? Like, how do you make sure that you keep going even though you don't want to, even though things get hard, even though you started thinking it would be probably easy, and then you get into it and realize, man, this is just gonna be terrible. And to show you, or to provide a little bit of proof, right, on why I can even speak about this, right? I've grown a channel from nothing to 50,000 subscribers. With that knowledge, I've managed to get 4 channels monetized in a single video. So 4 channels making money on the very first video. I've completed 75 hard once already. I'm doing it again right now as we speak, but I've done it once before. Didn't fail a single time. 75 straight days of perfection. I've lost 25 pounds during that time. I've been in a 4 or 5 year relationship that, you know, is very healthy. I've proved I can commit to another person, and I own all my time. The YouTube channels I run pay my bills enough that I can not have to work a normal job. I get to do whatever I want, whatever I want. It's, you know, those aren't accidents. They're results of a system. So let's like break down the things that I believe that allow me to win when others give up. And the first one is the work needs doing and I do the work. So I think you're going to need to rewire your brain if you want to be successful. I truly think you have to brainwash yourself almost in the beginning because you have no proof that you can do anything. You're like, I was at least a fucking loser. I was a burnout. I had nothing going for me, okay? The best thing I had was I had a job and a place to live and a car. And I didn't even buy the car. My parents gave it to me. Like, fuck, bro, I got nothing, okay? The only thing that could get worse is I could be homeless or living in the car. And I did live in my car for a short period of time, essentially. I was like hopping between the car and my parents' place. But, I mean, I got out of that. Okay, just trying again to show you that you can go from nothing to something. Okay, so the work needs doing, and I do the work. This is the toughest one I think there is to grapple with, because it's the foundation for everything else, right? If you want to get somewhere, if you want to better yourself, you're going to need to do a lot of work. And you will need to become the person who does that work. It's just a brutal reality of the situation. If you don't do the work, nothing will change, and you'll be stuck in the same spot forever. And that's a firm belief that I have, that the work needs doing and I do the work. Okay, I am the type of person that will do the work that needs done to get me to where I want to go. You have to adopt that mindset or you can't even get started. Then you need to be able to commit to something for years, not weeks. And I think this is a really difficult thing for a lot of people to do, because a year is a long time. Years is even longer. A decade is unthinkable. It's just too much time. We can't even really comprehend it. Fuck, a week is difficult to comprehend. Your life can be dramatically different in a couple of days. An accident can happen that leaves you, paralyzed. A family member could die, or you could win the lottery. Anything could happen any day. So thinking about years of time is very difficult. So you have to think about committing to a thing for years. But if it's so difficult to think in years, how do you actually do that? And I think the way that you do that is you build standards for yourself, right? You say, I know I want to hit this goal, right? For me, it was, I want to become a full-time YouTuber. Well, what would I need to do, working backwards, to commit? What would I need to commit to become a full-time YouTuber? If I just kept doing it for long enough, what would essentially guarantee I get there? And I was like, well, I'll work on making videos for 4 to 6 hours every day. I'll go to work, I'll come home, and then I'll work on videos for 4 to 6 hours until I've got a video out, and then I'll see what does well. And I'll just keep doing that over and over and over again, and eventually I'll get there. So I built that standard for myself, right? I said, these are the things that I'm going to do every day that I'll commit to for years that will get me to where I want to go. Then you need to build evidence by showing up. You show up by doing those standards. It's pretty simple, right? So like if you wanted to lose weight, right? You could say, I'm going to run a mile every day. Every 2 days, I'll run a mile, right? No matter what, I'll go run this mile. And at first, it's going to be really scary. But by showing up and running that mile every day, you will build evidence that you're the type of person who does the work, right? So after that, you can maybe increase it to 2 miles or whatever. You can build on top of the evidence pile, essentially. The previous tiny evidence pile will give you the courage you need to take on bigger things, the confidence that you can do what you say you'll do. And then after that, you have to assume you're in control of your outcomes. And if all of this stuff sounds really simple so far, that's because I truly do believe it is quite simple. It's just not easy. It's very difficult to do all this stuff and to think this way and reprogram yourself. But I do think it's very simple. You just show up and do the shit you're supposed to, and you get the stuff that you want. It's really not complicated, okay? There's a ton of little stuff in between, but as long as you stick to that, you keep going, you will get there. So I assume I'm in control of my outcomes, right? If I'm not in control, I don't worry about it, because there's nothing. If I'm in control, there's something I can do about it. If not, I don't worry about it, because there's nothing I can do about it, right? Like if I got hit by a car and my leg is broken, I'm not going to worry about all the shit I could have done to not get hit by a car, really, because we're past that. It's outside of my control. If somebody came by and blew up my car, okay, they blew up my car and I don't have a car to get anywhere. I don't know why anybody would do that. It'd be crazy, but what am I going to do about that? I could call the police and stuff and try and get them punished, but my car is gone, okay? There's a plane passing overhead. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious. But yeah, like my car is gone. What could I possibly do about that? Nothing. So I don't worry about it. Now, the stuff I can control, I worry a lot about. And maybe I shouldn't worry about it so much, but I assume I'm in control of nearly everything in my life. And that's empowering for me, because it means I have the ability to change it, right? If you don't believe you're in control, then you're at the whims of the world. Whatever things happen to you instead of you making things happen. And that's a very, very bad place to be. You don't want to be a victim, right? You don't want to be a victim of the world. You want to be something carving your destiny into existence, which means you have to be in control of the stuff that you do every day. So I know, right, my weight, the way that I look to some degree, the things that I do, the job I have, the career I have, the money I have, All of that stuff is within my control. I can do things to affect those outcomes, right? But most people live in a victim mentality. The world happens to them instead of them happening to the world. And finally, the next part of the system, I say giving up is just not an option. There were people yesterday telling me that I should just give up on 75 hard because it's too hard. Nobody will ever do it. Nobody does it. It's too challenging. It's built for you to fail. I do not operate that way. I don't care what you say. I will not give up. I will not give up on this channel. Now, my strategy might change. Things will change about the way I do stuff. But my end goal of being somewhat famous, and even there I hedge, right, of being famous and making the kind of money I want to, those things will not change. Those goals will not change because that's what I want. I will not give up until I achieve them, right? I will win and do win because I don't stop. It's just that simple. Most people stop. I don't stop. I don't stop 75 hard. I don't quit it. I just keep going until it's done. I don't stop running until I, was able to run a 5K, and then I ran a 5K, and then I did them regularly, right? And stuff will happen, right? And you'll fail for extended periods of time, okay? But there's this really funny saying we have in the old school RuneScape community, which if you don't know, it's an MMO, it's a video game that people play, right? And people say, you never quit, you just take really long breaks. And sometimes you're going to take really long breaks from stuff, and that's okay as long as you don't quit, as long as you come back to it eventually and you get back on the horse and you pick it up again and you try again. As long as you do that, you will get to where you want to be. Now, obviously, you should try to avoid taking really long breaks, but just don't quit. Please, I beg you, don't quit, because you can get to where you want to go if you don't give up. And finally, part 3, which is just that most people never do stuff. It's just the brutal truth. It's really unfortunate. Once you start doing stuff, you look around and it's saddening that so few people do anything. Most people will try for 3 weeks and quit. Most people will need to feel motivated to keep going. Most people will make excuses when stuff gets hard. Most people don't actually want it that bad. They want to want it, which is unfortunate because you can't want to want it. You need to actually want the thing. Most people aren't failing. They're just not even trying. They're not even trying. But that's good for you because it means if you do try, you're above most people already. Trying alone and continuing to try puts you in at least the top 50%, I would say, because probably more. Don't look up the obesity statistics for America or the number of people who hit the daily recommended amount of exercise per day. It'll depress you, right? Because you'll see just how few people actually are doing anything. And then if you're in that group, it should be motivating because it's like, wow, so few people are doing anything that if I just do a little bit, I'll be above average. Okay? And the difference between me and most people isn't talent. It's not commitment. It's that I'm willing to do boring, hard, difficult things for years that most people aren't. I'm willing to show up and make 200 YouTube videos with not a single one of them crossing 5,000 views, and then continue to show up and make more videos. That's just it. I'm just willing to continue trying and learning, and most people aren't. They quit. I'm not lucky. I'm not gifted. I just refuse to quit. And that's really the only edge you actually need. So don't quit. If you started something this year, if you had a New Year's resolution, or hell, if you're starting something right now, or you've been doing something for 5 years, just don't quit. I don't care how long it's been since you haven't had success. Just keep going. I implore you to keep going, because if there's one thing I've learned is the people who keep going eventually win, right? Maybe not gambling, okay? Maybe don't keep gambling, but everything else, right? Keep going.